Jose Dominguez. This is round 2 because you are, if I remember right, you did this. You were my third guest. So thanks to you, I got this rolling. So this should be. I just uploaded one today with Kevin Brady. Now it's episode 68.
Oh.
Yeah. So thanks to you, everything's been going up. But I want to get you back on because some of the beginning ones I did, I felt like they were a little off. You guys are great. Everyone's great. I feel it was just me. Now I think I think I got the talking part right. It was more of like, I guess, questionnaire, but I wanted to be more relaxed. And if people are listening or watching, I'm at the USD right now at the med school. Hopefully the background looks more cleaner. We were in the other room. We had a Bluetooth mic set up. And like I had chairs everywhere and it looked kind of funky. So I wanted to get you around too. But before that, so what do you do again for Vermillion?
So I'm the city engineer for Vermillion. I essentially work with all the public works projects and all of the city departments, whether they be Parks and Rec, the utilities, finance office sometimes, landfill, the airport. I'm the planning and zoning administrator, so I'm the clerk for the planning commission. So I have my fingers in a lot of different things.
How are your hours like? Because I see you, like, if I go to the meetings, you're there also in the afternoons. So are they like 40 hours or does it kind of range?
So I'm salaried, but my hours are from 8 to 5, technically speaking. But I'm there usually sometime around 7 in the morning. And then on Mondays, especially, I have to stay there for either a council meeting or a planning commission meeting. So on those days, I might get home around 7. And then during the rest of the week, then I still come in at 7 in the morning, but I might leave maybe at 6 again, just because there might be projects that have to, I don't know. Like right now we have Clark Street.
Yeah.
So I might be there sometimes I've been there till 7:30 with those guys, or we have Tom Street, same thing. So
the thing that's happening on Clark Street, I've had some people ask. I don't know why they asked me. I don't know if they're getting the wrong Jose mixed up.
Well, that happens, I guess.
But y'all guys started over there in the next to the park in the summer, right?
Yep.
And then now you guys are doing, it's right in front of Slagle Hall. Are you guys gonna? I guess you guys are finishing up the whole street, right, in sections, or only just that part?
So we started, like you said, at Plum and Clark, and the whole project was going to go from Plum to Dakota. But rather than closing the entire thing at once, we decided to break it into 2 phases, with the first phase being Plum to University and the second phase University to Dakota. So here, I'm going to say probably within the next month, they're going to be paving this section here, probably sooner than that. But
okay, has a lot of people been kind of, I guess, angry, upset? I didn't think when you guys closed down the one next to Plum, at first I was like, it's no big deal, until I realized, man, dude, I usually drive around there. I'm like, man, so I had to go all the way around, and then it was open. So excited, so now I could go through there. The parking for me at the USD is fine, because I park actually on the south side.
Yeah. But
that north side, crossing over, because I have to go, I usually meet my wife for lunch. And I'm like, man, I got to cross this way. But I guess that's how construction is usually.
Yep. Construction typically inconveniences someone. So, but at the end of the day, there's no way of doing it without inconveniencing people. We try and limit it, but we can't sometimes. Like in this project here, we were supposed to put some temporary sidewalk crossings just over here by Lee Med, by Harvard, but because the contractor has been moving so fast, then it's kind of pointless to put the crossing, because he would be spending more time removing the crossing than actually doing the work. So like right now you could say, well, you could put the crossing, but he's actually working there today with equipment, not at this intersection necessarily, but you also have the school's closed today. It's the holiday. And then starting next week, then he's going to be bringing gravel and regrading the whole road. So again, we run into issues with timing more than anything.
Is it, or what was the whole point of it? Like, you guys just doing?
So the original project, we were planning on doing it, like I said, in 2 phases, but it was going to be a multi-year. So we were going to do the first phase this year, and then wait for the second phase to be done probably in a couple of years. But then we actually figured out that we could get additional funding from the state. Usually we can apply, it's called a CDBG grant, and usually they were capped at $750,000. We found out that you could apply for more. You can apply for up to $2 million, which we did, but we only got $500,000. So, but then we also found out that you could get an advance on some state money that we typically get. And that advance, the cap was $2.5 million. So we applied for $1.5 million. Then we used part of the CDBG money that we got. And then so the fact that we were able to get additional funds made us put the whole project, rather than splitting it into 2 years, doing it all at once. And then because of that, then we were also able to redo all the water main from Dakota all the way to Plum Street. So
since it's
Pine, yeah.
Since it's like close to the university, they don't, like the state, or I don't know too much. Do they have to take care of it, or does the city have to take care of it?
It's within the city's right of way, so the city it's a city street.
Oh, okay. Is there some stuff that the city can't do, but only like the university could do some of the stuff?
Anything that happens in campus, that would be like Taylor Drive by the Dome. That would be a University Street. Then you also have the one off Pine Street south of Cherry that goes west. Can't remember. I don't know I don't know what the name of it is, but it's like Campus Drive, I think. That's a University Street.
Okay.
So I think those are the only 2 that are university streets. There used to be more, but they started taking them out eventually. But yeah, no, everything else with the exception of the state highways are city streets.
What about that joint jurisdiction? So that stuff, now I pay more attention because if people do know, I'm getting a house over there. And I went to a meeting.
You got a card, didn't you?
The what?
You got a note card.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Yes, because I'm like, oh, that's where it is. And I was there, and I think, if I remember, people were they were confused on the meeting because I was paying attention. Who was the guy's name? The one that was, I guess, talking?
So that was Sean.
Sean, okay.
He's with CCOG, and he works for the planning district that both the city and the county use.
Okay, Sean. I think he did a great job of speaking everything. And I think people were just worried that they were going to get like annexed or something. But I kept paying attention. He said they just need a plan. That's it. Nothing's going to happen. But one of the things I always wondered too, since I know some people now in that joint jurisdiction area, what is the process? Like, let's say I did want to get annexed. All of us want to get annexed for some reason. We're like, yeah, let's be part of the city. How does that process go?
So in your instance, it would be a little bit different. But in your instance, let's say that entire subdivision wanted to get annexed. So then you guys would get together and somebody, let's say you, would be representing them. And then you would come up to me and say, we want to get annexed. So then what I would do after we got that initial request or petition is that we would actually write down petitions and give them to you. And then you would have to get enough signatures to be annexed. That's a voluntary annexation. And it's not a simple majority. You have to get, I believe it's 3/4 of the registered voters within that area have to agree with the annexation. So in your case, let's say you and your wife have to agree to it. And then every other registered voters. And then in addition to that, then you also have to 3/4 of the owners of the land by value also have to agree to it. So I think it's by value, I'm almost positive it's by value. So if your property is worth $1 million and the next 3 houses are worth, $100,000, then you signing it have by far more than 3/4 of the majority by value.
Whoa, okay.
So it's very confusing, but you have to have 3/4 and 3/4 of the other ones, and that would be a voluntary annexation. Then after that, then We get all those petitions. It doesn't go to the county because it's, first of all, it's voluntary and the area is already platted. So then it just goes to the city council. The city council says yay or nay as far as annexing it. We would annex it more than likely. And then at the same meeting, the council decides to notify the electric utility, rural electric, that we're going to be taking their territory. And then when we go and do that, then we notify, if the council says, yes, we're going to take that territory as well, then we would notify the electric company telling them that we're going to be annexing their territory now. But then we also start talking to them about paying them for their utilities. So we would pay them back for the whatever infrastructure they have in the ground already. We would also have to pay them back after it's annexed. We would have to pay them like lost revenue for 7 years on all those individuals that are there, even if there's empty lots and somebody decides to build within, I think it's 7 or 11 years, they would have to pay them back some of that lost income or income to them. And then if the property owner, if we annex it and everything goes well, for your utility, let's say where you live, then the city would pay for the conversion of all of the public infrastructure to city, because like the power, the infrastructure that electric company might not be the same as what we use.
Okay.
So we would have to switch transformers and conduit and cable and whatever not. And that's all to the city. City's cost.
What about like the propane tanks or septic tanks? What happens with those?
So that's private. That would be a private utility. So if anything, there would be the gas company would have to go and lay down gas lines, but that's not us.
Oh, okay. So, oh snap. Okay.
Same thing with Blue Peak or something. I don't know if they're there or not.
Oh, okay. I was checking all those utilities and everything, and so here in town in Vermillion, apartment, before we had Midco, then Blue Peak popped up, and then usually like when they were coming in, there's always like a guy knocking.
Yeah. And
usually I never answer it. I was like, I'll just answer it. And he told me, he's like, hey, got Blue Peak fiber, might be cheaper. You want to check it out? I'm like, sure. And I looked at it. I was like, it was like $10 cheaper. I was like, I'll grab it. And I think I had Midco. It was like 250 megabits or something. Yeah. But this one was fast. Like I have like, I guess technically it's like 1 gig, but I checked.
1 gig, yeah.
Yeah, and I get like around 800. I'm like, this thing is fast. And they gave me the equipment. I guess I didn't have to pay extra for that one. It was kind of like, it's free. It's like, oh, this is nice. And then a friend of mine that lives in that area with a joint jurisdiction, he said it's only Midco, but at that time they had fiber, but in town they didn't. But I think now they do. So I'm like, it's so weird.
I don't know, I guess, but
yeah. But then now I'm like, I don't want Midco. I like Blue Peak a lot. I've had Midco before and had some problems. I don't know. I'm trying to solve all that stuff up. But speaking of that joint jurisdiction thing, is there a reason why, not just that area, but different areas? Is there a reason why a lot of people just don't want to be part of the city? Like the pros and cons?
I think it's mainly fear that the city is going to be taken over, and some people don't want to live in the city, and that's okay. We're not. One thing that we haven't done, at least since I've been here, and I don't think we've ever done, is do an involuntary annexation. So we want to make sure that if we're your neighbor city, and you want to be annexed, and yeah, by all means, come and talk to us, and we'll see what we can do and what we can't do, and if it's going to work out for you or not. But there's a lot of people that either don't want the city to be involved because they see the city as more red tape, which is not always the case. They also don't want to be in the city necessarily. They want to have that rural lifestyle and the convenience of being 3 miles away from the city or 2 miles away from the city, which I understand. But I mean, otherwise, I don't really know why, because everybody likes to have building codes. Everybody likes to have fire protection. Everybody likes a lot of things that are usually associated with city living.
I guess in that area, is the ordinances kind of different?
So the ordinance within the JJZA, yes, they are different. So in the city has their own set of ordinances, specifically zoning, and the JJZA has joint zoning ordinance,
Mm.
and then the county has everything else within that space. So, like your building permit, first of all, it had to match the JJZA zoning ordinance as far as if a house could be built in that area, which it could.
Mm.
And then your building permit was issued by the county. And the county is the administrator in the JJZA. They're the zoning administrator. And then I think earlier you said you had to talk to another individual with the city. Well, that's because the county doesn't have a building inspector. So then the county hires the city to do some inspections on buildings and so forth. So there's contracts that we have with the county for certain services, and there's things that the city can and can't do. But we try and work together to figure this stuff out.
If I live more on the outside, like outskirts in the county and not in the joint jurisdiction, building a house, would it be like, could I build like technically anything, or not anything, but like those what do you call them, barn?
I know a house.
Yeah. Because I think here
in the JJCA we don't allow houses.
Yeah.
Neither does in the city.
Okay. Because I remember at first I was like, oh, I kind of did. I like that type of house until they said, the guy said, no, you can't have it. I'm like, I thought I was in rural, but I guess part of the JJZA. So it still has those.
So the JJZA, the intent of the JJZA is to get it ready for when the city gets to that spot.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to make sure that the space within the JJCA is compatible if the city were ever to be there to annex it. That's the intent of it. So,
but it will probably happen. Like, I don't know if soon, but later. But you think eventually it probably might happen. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it will happen. It's going to happen. I just don't know if it's going to be in 5 years or it's going to be 20 years. But I mean, if we've had a lot of growth inside of Vermillion, and we are hopeful that growth translates into additional growth within the JJCA that will be taken over by the city, annexed by the city. If there's no room inside of the city to grow, then it makes sense that we're either going to grow outside of it or people are going to start moving in the JJCA.
There's also another area, big houses. I think you know where it's at. Where like I think you pass the dome, or
it's on University.
Yeah, it's called Rolling Hills.
Yep, Rolling Hills.
Yeah, is that part of Vermillion or the JJZA?
It's in the JJZA.
Okay, that one is too. Yeah. Okay, yeah, because I went. But now the ones that before getting the other houses, are those in the JJZA too? There's only.
So essentially everything south of the Vermillion, we're in the area that you're talking about, is within the JJCA for the most part.
Oh, okay. So
Rolling Hills is in the JJCA. Where you live is in or where you're going to be living, that's in the JJCA. The properties to the west of you, Hillside, that's also in the JJCA. If you go on Main Street to the east, you're going to see some houses way to the east on Main Street. Those are also in the JJCA. Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty much all the subdivisions and the rural subdivisions, unless you get to the river.
Okay.
And those are in the county.
If we became part of the city, does the value of the houses or properties also go up, or they tend to be the same? Do you know that?
I don't know if it does or not. I would assume it depends on, because you already have access to your property. So it might depend on some of the additional, not amenities, but any additional infrastructure. So if the street were to be paved, let's say, that might increase the value of your property, but I'm not sure. So, and I don't know if you knew this, you probably know, but the county is the one that collects taxes. So
yeah, I've talked to a few of the county commissioners and some of the people that live there, and also I don't think about city council, but because I've asked people, why don't you guys want to be like part of the city? And most of them, I think they just say they don't want the property taxes to go up. So that's why I've been asking, but I can't get like a good answer, because some people say it's not, but some people say, I guess.
Well, the property taxes would go up.
They would go up?
If you're in the city, the property taxes do go up.
Oh, man.
But it's good because you have if you're in the rural, like where you're going to live, you have the county taxes, you have the school taxes, and then you have the township. And those are whatever, I don't know what they're levied at, but they're set. Then when you come into the city, like where I live, I have the county, school, and instead of township, I have the city levy. So my city levy is, it's definitely more than the township levy, but my county and school district are this should be the same levy as what you would be out there.
Okay, so the county and the city, it doesn't split, it just kind of gets like replaced?
It gets replaced. So if you come into the city, you pay city taxes instead of township taxes.
You don't know how much that increases?
No, I don't.
Because one of the...
I know it's not like $1. It's a lot of money.
Okay. No, I like the honesty. It's because like I've asked some people, and because they would say like some of the benefits. Of course, they'll say the road be paved, which I think kind of would help a lot. I drive over there, it's like
yep.
Same thing. They'll say like gas and water. It would be nice because now I got to pay for a septic and to pay for a propane tank. But they say, but the thing I was concerned was like, well, let's say it does increase, right? Taxes. But how much? Because I got to pay that every month in the future. So there's like a balancing thing. So I guess people just don't know how much it would be. So maybe
and that would be one of those things that if we were ever to annex that property, then that would be one of those things that could be talked about.
Yeah.
We can't say, no, okay, you're not going to pay taxes for the next 10 years. But we could at the very least, before you say we want to be annexed, and we might be able to estimate, we think your taxes might go up by this much, or I don't know, whatever, depending on what the levy is at that time.
Who controls the taxes I know county does, but like in the city, is it like is it city council that determines if there's an increase or decrease, or is there someone else?
So I'm going to be talking out of, because I'm not exactly sure how it is, but my understanding is that you have to have you can't carry a debt, essentially, right? The city can't. So then the city sets their budget, and if additional budget money is needed, then I believe that the levy is automatically set to cover for that.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like we just it's not like we just collect 6% of whatever your property is worth. I think that percentage varies depending on how much money the city needs at that point.
Okay, it's more complicated.
It's more complicated, yeah. And I'm not an expert. I just know that there's money at the end of it, and I can use it or not use it.
No, okay. No worries. Now I'll change the subject now, because at first I didn't want to talk too much about city, but I was very curious about the JJZA. But I want to dive in more to because I think I emailed about you. So someone told me you're a fan of roundabouts.
I don't mind roundabouts. I think they have I think if you use them correctly, I think they're fine.
Because I really like them. I didn't know they were called roundabouts. We always called them glorietas, so I didn't know that. But because the one at like Bliss Point has a roundabout, and I think they were just talking about. Someone told me that I think it's the intersection where I need to know the roads, where the gas station is, and then where like Hillside is, that area.
Yeah.
Someone's saying that was it Julia? That it could be like a dangerous. Maybe, or they say it's like a little dangerous, but that maybe they should add a light. I was like, what if they just added like a roundabout?
So that would be, so the thing with roundabouts is that you need a lot of space. They take a lot of right of way. And at some of these intersections, I don't know if you actually have the space to do it. Like, I mean, perfect example would have been to put a roundabout downtown on Center Court and Main Street. But I would have had to take out at least 2 buildings, maybe a third building. And that's just to get the space to put the roundabout. But no, I mean, I think they work. They're used in a lot of different places within the U.S. They're used internationally. Snow is not a problem. It's used in, Sweden and Norway and Germany and wherever.
So if let's say you were going to design your own city. I won't say Vermillion, but let's say you're going to design your own city.
Yeah.
How would you design it though? Like,
I wouldn't have offset intersections. You're asking me, but I mean, I think with the exception of the offset intersections, if you have the same topography as Vermillion, I don't think the streets are badly laid out. I like the grid system just because to me that's easy. I would definitely name the streets differently, whether it's street and avenue in certain directions, or maybe alphabetical, or I don't know. The street naming would be different if I could do it, but I can't do that. Otherwise, I mean, I don't mind the street layout for Vermillion that we have as far as it's easy to follow through. I wish we had more east to west connectivity, because right now we only have Clark Street and Cherry. So if you need to go from the west side of town to the east side of town, it seems like it takes a long time to get that way. So I don't know if it's a matter of having higher speed roads or having like an actual little trolley that goes somewhere. But that's another thing. I think it'd be nice to have like maybe an actual bus system. That would be maybe not gigantic, but if you have buses that go down Main Street and up Norbeck, let's say, if it was ever finished, and then down Cherry Street, you could actually connect a lot of the city with the intention that you have to, maybe if I wanted to get to my job, I would have to ride my bike to the high school, hop on a bus, and then do the loop and get dropped off somewhere downtown.
That's a good idea.
That's just in my head.
But having a bus system, I guess it would cost, right?
Yeah.
Is that why
everything costs money?
Everything costs money. Oh man,
that's the thing. I mean, everything costs money, and nobody wants to pay taxes.
No, it's great. A lot of people have been asking about. No, my bad. I want to backtrack. I've heard some people, they say, "Oh, they're really into the walkable cities."
Yeah.
I actually think, well, it's because I swear I say this every episode. Because where I'm from, in the most like the city, everything's far. Like especially like I remember going to Walmart. Man, it took like 20 minutes. It's not because it's far, but it's because it's so dense. There's traffic. Then you got to get on the interstate, and it's just. But here, I think it is more walkable. Like where I live, next to Prentice Park, you got the school, or there's a high school, the hospital, even to work. Riding my bike in the summer, it
takes you 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the most.
Yeah, actually, it takes me. I think it's quicker on my bike than driving, for some reason. But I think it is kind of walkable. I think the only bad part is like, if people have to head to Walmart. I mean, yeah, because it's like on the other side of town. Yeah. But even like downtown, even like Myra, one time she said, "Hey, let's go to Cow and Spoon," and I was like, "Yeah, let me heat up the truck." And she says, "No, let's just go walk." I'm like, "Okay." We walked. I think it was like 20 minutes maybe. Head there, came back. I'm like, "Huh, it's actually kind of nice."
So Vermillion's pretty dense, and a lot of, and it's very walkable, and it's very bikeable too.
Yeah.
And I mean, I came also from bigger cities, and I've lived in bigger cities, and I know this, but it's difficult to convince people that are from South Dakota that Vermillion is maybe not walkable, but definitely bikeable.
It is.
Yeah, because they see Clark Street, and when it's not under construction, they assume that it's, that's just a major thoroughfare, and it is for Vermillion, but you only see about maybe 4,000 vehicles a day in the school year. And at the end of the day, that's actually not, it's a lot of cars, but it's not that dangerous. And we've actually thought about designating bike routes and bike lanes, if you want to call them that. But we're kind of holding back a little bit because we've actually read some studies where they say that that's actually not necessarily the safest. Because if you have a bike route and everybody in Vermillion rides their bikes on bike routes, well, the only people that are used to seeing bicycles on the streets are those that use the bike routes. So if you drive a car on a bike route, you know what to do when you see a bicyclist. But if that bicyclist gets off the bike route to do whatever, which he can by law, then now those vehicles might not be as familiar with bicyclists on the road.
Okay.
So then it creates this false sense of safety, and which is not necessary. So I like to think about it as Vermillion, as all the streets in Vermillion being bike friendly. You just have to be comfortable with it. If you're not comfortable, then you can hop on the sidewalk and ride on the sidewalk.
Yeah, that's what I do. Like in the summer, I ride my bike all the time now, especially, we go to work, Myra goes to work, we drop her off or come this way. The bike is great. And I always wondered, I was like, I wonder if there was like a bike lane, until I realized also, I don't know if it's an issue or not. Once it gets cold, like right now, I think it's cold. I won't be riding my bike, only the summer. But would it help having like a bike route, or even like not even a bike route, like more of a trail for just exercise, or
Like through Vermillion?
through Vermillion, or is it better just having it like another area?
So through Vermillion, we've been kind of promoting, I guess, on Dakota Street as that being the bike route. Most of the sidewalks are USD sidewalks, and they're wider.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
so then we're tried to promote Dakota Street as a connector between, let's say, the highway, the bypass, all the way. You can go all the way down to the river through Dakota Street, and then once you get to the river, then you can get that looped. It's not looped, but that bigger bike path. Yep.
Also, when was it? A few months ago with those floods?
Yeah.
How did it affect? Why didn't it affect Vermillion? No,
It did.
How did it affect it a lot? Like, how was your schedule like?
Well, it got really busy. We actually, the floods, we didn't have flooding necessarily speaking, unless you're talking about by the bike paths, but it did affect it greatly. We actually had a lot of the 3 force mains that go to the wastewater plant were washed out. So we were discharging raw sewage into the river, I'm going to say probably for a few weeks, until we got the temporary sewer force main bridge over the Vermillion. At that point, then we were treating all the sewage again. And last week, they just finished connecting the permanent force mains. The temporary bridge that they built was not rated for snow load or ice, so we had to get the permanent ones fixed. And that got done. So all of our sewage was being discharged into river probably for a couple of weeks, if not maybe 3. But we were working with the state, and we were testing the water north of the discharge point, and so we were testing upstream and downstream of the discharge point, and we were okay. We were definitely way within the limits.
Okay.
So
how was Sioux City and them? Did you guys, or does for example, does Vermillion, Sioux City, did they ever like contact your point? Or because I remember driving past Sioux City, and it was, man, that thing was bad.
So nobody likes to hear this, but one of the things about pollution, so the solution to pollution is dilution. So and that's the truth. I mean, that's you don't want to discharge sewage into the river, but with such high flow, it was a minuscule amount of water going down the river. And you also have to consider the fact that there's a lot of cattle that utilize the river on a daily, and that happens when it's dry, it happens when it's wet. And so there's always raw sewage going down the river. Just be human.
But everything's fine.
And we were, regardless of that, we were still monitoring the river, making sure that that if it got to a certain level, and that level was dictated by the state, it wasn't just a city level that we just picked willy-nilly. I can't tell you what that level was, but they were, because we have to report. We had reports with them every day until we had the temporary fix done. But they were telling us that we were okay within limits or not. And as far as other problems that arose because of that, a lot of our bike path, we lost some of the bank along the bike path. We had to close one more spot because of the river cutting underneath the bike path. And then we had a lot of debris, sand mainly, on the bike path itself. So a lot of that stuff is going to cost a lot of money to fix. Because we don't have the space, quite literally, we don't have the room to drive a truck and pick up all the debris and take it someplace else unless we drive on the bike path, which would be destroying the bike path with the heavy trucks.
Here in Vermillion, like since we're on the bluff, like for flooding, there should be no issue technically.
Yeah, for the majority of Vermillion, we have no issues. Now the lower part of Vermillion, We have recently some of that area got designated within the floodplain. But you saw this flood, none of the houses were flooded out. So it's pretty good for us, I guess.
Over there in the JJZA, is it possible for flooding? They said that in that area it's a little wet. That's why they told us not to do basement for some reason.
Yeah, so the area where you're building your houses, the groundwater is pretty high.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why they built it higher, and I asked them if they could build it, I guess, 2 feet higher. And yeah, it's high, but I guess it's a good thing so it doesn't get flooded.
Yep. But you have a basement, though.
No, I don't have a basement.
You won't have a basement. Okay. So yeah, I mean, even the 2 feet higher will help you out. And then are you gonna have a crawl space then?
No, it's just a slab.
It's just a slab and grate. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's good then. Yeah. So you should have no issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, now I am curious. So speaking of that JJZA, I've seen some places where they have, or some of the houses, they have those like giant barns,
Yeah.
like garages. If we became part of Vermillion, can we build that, or is there also like an ordinance?
So the size in Vermillion,
yeah,
the size of the garage is, we don't have a maximum. We require you that I'm just gonna say 700 square feet. So if your garage is 700 square feet or less, then you're okay to build it as long as you have the space and you meet setbacks in your property. If it's going to be larger than that, then you have to talk to the building official, and you would have somehow to reassure the city that it's not going to be used for business purposes.
Oh,
So that's, yeah. So the garage is secondary to the residential use.
okay. I think I understand.
Which is the issue that we have with the houses. So
that's why.
yeah. So are you living? When you have a house, you have a storage unit for all your toys with a tiny little house on the side, or do you have a house and you also have an RV and a boat and something that does that? I don't know. It's hard to explain, but
is there a reason why? Like, for example, if I wanted a shower. Well, like, why can't I have it? Like, is it a safety thing, or is it mostly for looks, or?
Right. So right now it's because the size of it's because it should be secondary. The garage portion should be secondary to the residential use.
Okay. It kind of confuses the.
Yeah. And secondly, we were kind of concerned, I guess, with how the space in the house is going to be used. Is it going to be a business? Is it going to be an actual storing all my toys? Am I going to be running a mechanic shop out of there? Am I going to be renting the space for people to store their RVs or whatever the case may be? So there's a lot of things that we don't necessarily know, and I'm not saying people are doing that right now, but I know that in the bigger garages that we have in town, that some of them have spaces that are converted into rentals.
Okay.
So that's not okay.
But I swear you have like a very difficult job, because you're also everywhere. Like, like I saw you over there at Clark Street. You'll be over there. You're in City Hall. You're in also there in the evenings. But you do like the job, right?
Yeah, I do like the job. I wish I would have left a long time ago. But no, I do like the job. I like the variety. I don't like the controversy that it brings sometimes, but I do like it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times it's just a matter of talking to people.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's mostly because people, I don't want to generalize it too. Like they don't know what's going on. Well, for me, I'll say it because I didn't know a lot of stuff was going on until I started, for going to the meetings or even talking to you. Like, hey, what's going on with there? You explain it, and I'm like, oh, that's how it is. That's how it works. Like if some people do have an issue, they should like contact someone, be like, hey, can you explain? Because
it's not always that we're right, because we're not always right by any means. But if I don't know that I'm wrong because somebody tells me that I'm wrong, then I'm always going to assume I'm right. Makes sense?
Yeah.
So I need to have the conversation for somebody to explain to me. It's like, what you're proposing does not make any sense because of X, Y, and Z. If I don't have that, then I'm always right.
Is there a goal? Like, do you want to, I don't know, like, you're the city engineer. Is there like something you want to be later on in life? Like
Retired.
you?
No, I mean, right now I'm very happy with where I'm at as far as my career, and I think I'm in a comfortable spot because I know where my kids are at. I know my surroundings pretty well, so I'm comfortable. But at the same time, we're also getting into a very busy period in Vermillion, where even this year, the 2024, where we've had a lot of construction projects for Vermillion.
I've seen that.
And if everything stays the way it's planning to be, then we might be very busy for the next 5 years, let's say.
And that's good.
It is good, but it's just a lot of I personally like to be very cautious because I mean, yes, I think growth is very important, that we need to have growth, but I don't want it to be just boom.
Okay.
Yeah, and we just grow helter-skelter, because at some point then that's going to catch up with us. And we're going to have things where we don't want them, or things are going to be done in a way that we don't want it.
Okay. Well, what have you seen? This is what I've seen in the growth. So, of course, like food, the restaurants are popping up. There's some stores popping up too, like that Dollar Tree, the tire shop. I think on that strip mall too, next to Walmart, they're same thing. Like there's a place called El Nopal popping up, a boba tea store. I saw even by Wells Fargo some construction going on, and then the housing stuff. Like I know you guys got the stuff going on in Jolly. I saw the meeting with but the one that's also next to or behind like Hex Barbecue, that area.
Yep.
Hopefully there's they're talking about development. Betty Smith also told me that she's trying to build some housing. She said she doesn't know where yet. If I remember right, I talked to her about it, and I think they want to plan on same thing, like a bunch of condominiums, and also have like a walkable type of neighborhood or something, or a community. My bad. So there's a lot of stuff popping up. Is there some stuff that you wish or you want to come into Vermillion?
I mean, I would like to have some form of industry, manufacturing, something clean.
Yeah.
But because that, to me, that's something that I think we're missing. It's nice to have the businesses, and it's nice to have the office type of work, but I think you also need that more blue collar type of environment or employer, like a Masaba. Maybe we need, I don't know, like 2 more Masabas in town or something of that sort. Because I think that's also more kind of varies our employment options that we have.
Tell me if this is a good idea. I've talked to some people about it, and I need to know your opinion. So, like for example, the university, and I'm only talking about like the med school because I'm more familiar with the people. A lot of the graduate students, they not doctors, not the medical students, but like ones doing research in them. They graduate, and I asked them. I said, "Do you guys? Where are you guys going?" They're like, "Well, we want to leave." I'm like, "You guys don't like it?" They're like, "No, we do like it here, but there's no like
there's
job
no work."
I said, "If there was work, you guys would stay?" They're like, "Yeah." And tell me if this is a good idea or not. If they had some type of, I don't know, like a biotech company, because they have the training, would that also help out? Would that probably help the students stay here?
Yep.
Would that be a good thing?
Yep.
Okay. I knew.
So but that's the thing. I mean, because of where we are at Vermillion, I mean, do we need the housing, or do we need the jobs?
Yeah.
So then if you have the housing, but you don't have the jobs, then people are not necessarily going to be staying because you don't have jobs for them to be able to pay for the house.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. But if you have the jobs, but no housing, then where are those people going to live? So you're not going to be, like the biotech people, they could stay in Vermillion and work, let's say in Sioux Falls, but who wants to be making that hour commute until they can find a house in Vermillion? So I wish we could just do both at the same time, but we're not a Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
We're not Yankton, and we're not Mitchell either. So we have to pick one or the other.
It's a tricky spot.
Yeah.
Because I even talked to Jim Peterson about it too, like that. He said the same thing, like, you need the housing for the jobs, but you also need the jobs to pay for the housing, which also need the employment. Like it's a kind of like a circle.
It's a circle, yeah.
But
that also affects the whole county and the whole area. Because we've had businesses by Masaba that have been here and they leave because they can't get employees.
Oh, really?
So it's not that it's not necessarily, maybe the pay wasn't right. I don't know, but I have a feeling that it's also a fact that we don't have that big population base to draw from. So now you're trying to get people from Wakanda or Centerville or, Ballin, Gayville. And that's a drive for some of those people.
Yeah.
I know Masaba was trucking people from, I think, either North Sioux or Sioux City for a while.
Oh, is that?
Yep.
And because we're competing with we're competing with either like Sioux City, Sioux Falls, even Yankton, I would say. Like, it's so weird because I would have thought, because we're in the middle of these places. I was like, oh, this would be like a perfect, I don't know, distribution place or whatever. But man, you guys, so difficult. I was talking to to the people from the Coyote Twin Theater, and I also asked about like, why is like this movie theater small? I would expect, why isn't like a AMC or Rave or Cinemark, something bigger? It would be cool that you could track people.
Yeah.
But they also have like, there's also Sioux Falls, but also Yankton has one that's bigger.
Yep.
So I'm like, it's so, which is cool. I like the small town feel, but one thing I am nervous about, they say it's not going to happen, but who knows? Like if USD for some reason left to go to Sioux Falls, we're like, oh snap, that's not good.
Also. No, it's not good. But it happened to some degree in Huron. Huron had a university and it left. It wasn't the size of USD, but it left. It happened in Springfield. That was the state university, and they turned it into a prison.
Oh,
so it's happened in the state before.
Yeah.
I don't want USD to leave, even though I went to state.
Oh,
but I also don't foresee that happening, at least not in the near future. I do see some of their programs moving to Sioux Falls, but there's going to be some of them that are not going to be moving out of Vermillion also.
So speaking of that, so when football starts and SDU plays, I'm guessing you don't go for the Coyotes, right?
No, I do not. I go for SDSU. Yeah.
Is it the same with basketball in any sports?
Yeah, it's basically in every sport. Yeah.
Do they ever give you crap about it or not?
Yeah, no, I get a lot of crap about it.
But it's not that bad because in football you guys win. You guys went really far. Like really far.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to understand that rivalry too, because I'm not from here, but it's kind of cool because we know some people that also went to SDSU, and they live here, but they also have that rivalry. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
In my office, I have a lot of blue and yellow in my office.
Even right now, you got that blue wrapping up.
Yeah, I actually had my SDSU shirt. It's like, but I don't wear that today.
Nice.
But I've been to the D-Days parade with my SDSU, because I just get up, put on a shirt on. It's like, oh, I guess I'm wearing yellow today.
What'd you do for D-Days? Did you hang out or?
We went to the parade, and then after the parade, I actually am on the chain crew at the football games.
Oh.
So then after the parade, then I went and did the chains, and then I went to the soccer game.
The parade was longer this year than last year, right? Or it seemed longer.
I don't know. Maybe.
I swear it was really long. I mean, not a bad thing. There was more stuff.
It seemed longer.
Yeah. One thing that it was the first time, because we never go to downtown during D-Days, and at first we wanted to sell food during D-Days there, but we couldn't find the location, and so we're like, next year, it's fine. But I was like, hey, let's go check it out, because people kept saying that, there's like vendors and this and that. I was thinking for some reason it was gonna be like packed, kind of like for example, like a ribs rods, but at night type thing. So we went, but we just drove past there. It was like 7 o'clock.
7 p.m.
Yeah,
okay.
We drove past there, and I didn't see much. I saw some students walking. The bars were full. I could tell.
Yeah.
There was like a food truck there, and next to, I think it was Varsity, and then there was one, I think inside
at the brewery.
Yeah, at the brewery. And then I was like, I guess maybe later on. Then later on I drove past there again, I think at 8:30, and it didn't seem busy. I mean, of course the bars are always busy, but I for some reason, I thought there was gonna be like a lot of.
So let's see, I'm 47. I think last time I went out for D-Days I was maybe 42, maybe. And it seemed like, it seems like everybody kind of hung out inside of the bars for the most part.
Okay.
But then you could also go to our pizza, and they would be selling slices at the door. Or you could go to the Coyote Twin, and the owners, because they didn't want people breaking the windows or anything, so they would sell hot dogs.
Yeah.
By the entrance to the theater until like 2 a.m.
That's what I was expecting, but maybe it was later. Maybe it has to be way later on. But I was. It just seemed like when people were telling me, I was expecting like a bunch of like street food for some reason. But I guess I don't know. That's what I was.
I don't think it's a bad idea, but I know sometimes they can get rowdy. But they're kids. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they're gonna have a food truck and they're gonna tip it over. I don't think that's gonna happen. But as long as I don't know, because it happens. If something, in my mind, if something like that were to happen, then the students are gonna be the ones that are shooting themselves in the leg, because that the next day or the next time next year, you're not gonna have a food truck out there. They come and break windows, and more than likely you're gonna. Something bad's gonna happen. There's gonna be a repercussion to it.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Would you suggest we sell food next year, like in downtown?
I don't think it would be bad. I think if you could talk to, I would either talk to the brewery to see if they would let you, because I know they have the space.
Yeah, they said we asked them, but they already had someone there. Yep. And that's where we're looking for other spaces. And
I think sometimes they let you go in, like if you go and talk to, I don't know, one of the bars that doesn't sell food, they might let you set up front, or they might let you go just inside and sell, I don't know, burritos or something. I don't know, whatever. Okay. Because I think some of the bars have done that in the mornings, because even for breakfast, some of them do sell breakfast food.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah, you're right. Okay. I think that we'll try to do that next year, because it seemed like, because also another thing that was, I just didn't know how the weather was going to be like.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, because I can't handle the cold at all, because I was freezing, but it was more of a nicer type of weather. Nice.
Yeah.
But I'll see. But before I end this, any projects we should be wondering? I know you can't give out the secrets, but like the Mamacitas, that one popped up. I know some people are excited about that.
I guess as far as businesses coming into town, I don't know of any. Better person to talk to would be probably Jim Peterson with a VCDC. And he might not be able to tell you which ones are actually coming either. But he would be the one that has more of his thumb on the pulse of Vermillion as far as that. City projects, though, in a few years, I'm going to say probably 3-4 years, we're probably going to be looking at doing Main Street from Plum west. We don't know how far we're going to go from Plum, but we're definitely going to go. Our hope is to go eventually all the way to Dakota Street. But that one's probably going to have to be split up into either 2 or 3 years, just because it's a wider street and it is busier.
Okay.
But that was one of the reasons why we wanted to get the Clark Street done first, so we could actually have a bypass, if you want to call it that, around some of those areas. But that's going to be a project we're working right now on, either the wastewater plant and the water plant, doing some upgrades within those. It's going to be multi-year projects on both of those. And otherwise, it's just whenever we get a developer saying, I want to build here, then we kind of have to react and start making plans for those developments.
Has any of those developments started, like Jolly or even the ones next to the jail? I think I've heard.
So that one, that's Tom Street. So on that one, we have 2 projects going on right now. We have the lift station, and then we have the actual development around the law enforcement center. That one is in progress right now.
Okay.
So it's been delayed. We're having some contractor issues as far as construction wise. But that's getting resolved slowly. But so rather, we were originally planning on getting that project done in November of this year. More than likely, we're going to be finishing it up June of 25.
Oh, whoa. Okay.
yeah.
Ah,
It really sucks, but right now we're trying to focus our contractors to get all the utilities done to make sure that we have water and sewer to the law enforcement center for sure. And then hopefully we can pave some of those streets so the law enforcement center has access to the rear of the building
okay.
as well. But regardless, after that, then that one's going to be a slam dunk. I would say by June of next year, then we should be finished for sure on that project. And then Jolly, we're going to have to start demoing the school. I would assume that we're going to start demoing either in November or December of this year. And then that's really the two things that are kind of out there right now. Clark should be done middle of November, hopefully at the latest. And the water main project on University and Canby should be done, I would say, by the end of this month as well.
Okay, sweet. All right. I think that should be good. Well, I want to thank you so much for returning, Jose.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thank you.